Module 11, Phylum Annelida. The next phylum I want to discuss is Phylum Annelida. This group contains worms, and all its members possess bilateral symmetry. The worms in Phylum Annelida have segmented bodies, meaning they are made up of segments that look like small rings next to each other. These guys live nearly all over the world, wherever there is damp soil. You are likely familiar with one group in this phylum, the earthworms, but you'll be learning a lot more about them in the next few sections. Here's a diagram of an earthworm. You can see the segmented rings along its body, as well as a clitellum. This is a swollen part of the body near the head end, and it helps in reproduction. The segments of an earthworm are so well studied that we can say that the clitellum is normally located from the 32nd segment from the head and extends about 5 to 6 segments in length. Though an earthworm doesn't have a noticeable head, it does have one. We refer to it as the anterior end. The anterior end of an animal is the end that contains its head, and the posterior end is the end of an animal that contains its tail. If you look carefully, you might notice that the anterior end of an earthworm is more pointed than its posterior end. But the easiest way to find the anterior end is to look for the clitellum. The earthworm has a mouth at the tip of its anterior end. Its digestive tract continues all the way to the other end of the body where it ends at the anus. In order to move, the earthworm uses two muscle groups that are in layers. One group, the circular layer, consists of muscles that constrict to make the worm long and thin. The other group, the longitudinal layer, constricts to make the earthworm short and thick. The earthworm uses these two muscle groups along with small bristles on the outside of its body called setae. Anchoring the posterior setae on the ground, it contracts the circular muscles to extend itself forward. Then it uses the anterior setae to hold on at the front, releases the posterior setae, and then contracts its longitudinal muscles to pull itself towards the anterior end. By repeating this process, the earthworm inches its way along the top of the ground as well as underneath it.